Hello and welcome from 13,000 feet over the Pacific Ocean. Sorry, I can't stop to talk now. I'm in the middle of a dogfight with a man from Belgium.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. More about how you can use the telephone to shoot down Belgians later in the programme. But first, our main review this week is Rocket Knight Adventures on the Mega Drive. And Violet, Top Gun Berlin, landed for just long enough last week to go behind the scenes of the most technically advanced concert ever staged. Well, if that's the nearest you get to musical composition, 2 or 3 notes on a piano and anybody within earshot runs for cover with their fingers in their ears, then what you need is this, the Deluxe Music Construction Set 2. Now, if you remember the original, you will realise that this has taken 7 years to come out. But when you see what the software is capable of, you will understand why. Well, this, it's just something by some unknown pianist called Scott Joplin. I don't think he'll do anything. But if you want to compose your own masterpiece, it couldn't be easier. We'll just stop Mr. Joplin in mid-stride here. And all you've got to do is select the note you want, crotchet, quaver, breve, semi-breve, and simply use the mouse to put it on the stave exactly where you think it should go. You hear the appropriate note as you do it, and if that wasn't easy enough, it gets simpler. Take the melody straight from the piano keys down the bottom here, and the computer will put the notes on the stave in the appropriate place. Then play it back to yourself. Anything you can do musically, this thing can do. In fact, you can even change the tempo. Now, I thought that was a bit slow, so if we change the tempo here, we play back my fabulous composition and just make it a little bit faster. Still sounds pretty dreadful, though, doesn't it? The best, though, is yet to come, and to show you that bit, I've got to get rid of my fabulous musical score and make way once again for Mr. Joplin. Now, Mr. Joplin wrote Cleophas originally for the accordion, but we can soon do something about that. Let's just go along here, and it's a set instrument, and we can change that accordion to anything we like. Banjo, no. Bass, no. Oh, yes, there we are, steel drums. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Cleophas by Mr. Scott Joplin, now on the steel drum. And on that note, Violet Berlin.
Amazing. Our main review this week is Rocket Knight Adventures on the Mega Drive. Its hero, Sparkster, is the last in a long line of ancient and venerable rocket knights, so called because of their rocket-powered backpacks. Here's the intrepid Robert.
This is a very interesting game. It has all the elements of a first-class platformer. It keeps you on your toes all the way through. This is the start of level 2. There is a boss at the beginning of it, which is quite unusual, as it usually comes at the end. Sparkster is the main character in the game. While you move him, every part of his body moves. He has a jetpack on his back which will fire him up into the air or along the ground. You can use it to get up to great heights, which I've just used. He has a tail which you can cling on to ropes and trees and things. This is level 5. The bosses in this game are very creative. I've just killed one of the bosses, but he'll come back again. There it is. This is still level 5. The guards are chasing me through the building. I have to trap them in the lava. Bingo. I use the transporter to go to the next room. I have to knock the support, hold down my button, to charge up my boosters, and then roar up into the sky. At first I gave this game 5 stars, although after playing it for a while it became very easy, so I gave it 4 stars.
The cutesy character can be deceiving. It's a bit like Sonic, but my opinion, it's better.
At first I didn't think this was going to be my cup of tea, but if I had the money I'd go out and buy this.
And so the final scores for Rocket Knight Adventures. The girls gave it a good score of 4 out of 5, and the boys liked it too. 4 out of 5 from them.
Thank you, Fotelers, and welcome to the most technically advanced concert ever staged. For my next number, I will be playing the music for Starwing on the Mexican nose flute with some very arresting visuals on the monitor screen. Now, to produce the arresting visuals, make sure both controllers are plugged in, but play the game only with controller number 1, and score more than 10,000 points. Then, when you die and go to the continue screen, by pressing Y or B, you can change your ship to any other ship in the game or any other object. Completely useless, but it looks nice and makes an ideal complement to any technically advanced, etc., etc. And now, for the moment you have all been waiting for.
One, two, 1, 2. Hello, England, and welcome to Main Road Football Stadium, home of the Light Blues Manchester City. Today it's home to a different kind of team, the road crew of keyboard wizard Jean-Michel Jarre, who's touring Europe this autumn, playing with a cast of thousands to an audience of millions. A major tour like this one is planned like a military operation. Like a small army, they bring their own catering, security and power. They used enough scaffolding to cover the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben. No wonder he's worn out. Jean-Michel Jarre's already directing operations for the stage crew and the band, who are getting ready for the sound check. It takes 4 days to build the set, but things only really come together in the last 24 hours before the performance. Much of the music is stored electronically on sequencers. Sequencers are computer-controlled keyboards. They talk to each other using a musical instrument digital interface, otherwise known as MIDI. 3 hours before the gates are due to open, and they're on their final run-through for sound. There was a rehearsal last night just for lighting, but because of the complexity of the show, the sound check can take longer than the event itself.
N'oubliez pas le compte, s'il vous plaît, hein. On va faire le prochain maintenant.
I managed to snatch a few seconds with the man responsible for the tour's smooth running, technical coordinator Simon Ransom.
This is where we control and process most of the visual effects of the show. Control for lights, sound, slides, all that sort of stuff is done from the 2 towers. And then above us we have the lasers, the slide projectors, a lot of specialist lighting effects that we use for throwing images out against the stage and against the screens that we have up there.
The show relies on MIDI. Each component of the show uses the time code of the MIDI signal as a reference point. So here's the time code, 10 hours, 7 minutes, 54 seconds, and the frames keep going round. The frames are 25th of a second. So if the drummer decided to hit the cymbal now, then that might trigger off laser animations or fireworks or a sequencer. The musicians on stage play live on top of all the pre-arranged events, and that's the crux of it. All everybody else has to do is follow their cue. The gates are about to open. I've just got time to ask Jean-Michel what he thinks about the people who say that computers are killing music.
They're wrong because the emotions or lack of emotion is not the responsibility of the instrument, but the responsibility of the guy behind the instrument anyway, whatever it is, a tam-tam or a piano or a computer. The main difference between electronics and acoustics is the fact that with electronics you can be your own craftsman, you can shape your own sound, you can create your own sound exactly like a painter is able to create colors. I mean, most of the time in rock concert outdoor, I mean, the performer is as big as an ant on the stage and people can hardly see or hear anything. And in that case, I try to start from my music as a musician and then to try to compose the visual track. Like when you are doing a movie, you do the soundtrack. In my case, I make the music and then I try to compose the visual track.
It's just like my garden on bonfire night. Jean-Michel Jarre's European tour finishes in his hometown of Lyon in France on October the 12th. Now for this week's news and previews.